Hey, Griffin.
Hey, Arthur, what is this Diablo III that
Well,
I've heard so much about? I know nothing about this property.
I mean, I realize that this is like a totally new thing that no one has any experience with, so it could take some time
I
for
mean, I
us
can't.
to.
I've never heard this saying. How are there three of these goddamn things?
They actually skipped one, I think, and just
Oh,
went straight from 1 to 3.
Oh, those Blizzard creeps are always looking for an easy buck. You
It's
know
a
what I
cash
mean?
grab kind of company, really.
It makes me sick. Disgusts me. Let's drop the ruse. Let's drop the charade.
So back to the well one more
Back
time.
we're back in this thing. This is like the 8th or ninth overview I've done with you about Diablo 3.
Almost
this is
literally.
This is the Ultimate Evil Edition, meaning I guess the other editions were somehow insufficient in the evil department.
They were somewhat lacklusterly evil.
Nice ding,
I
bro.
guess. Yeah,
Nice
thanks.
ding. So I mean, obviously it's on. You're playing this on Xbox One, I'm guessing, by
Yes,
the buttons.
that is accurate. So Ultimate Evil Edition is much like the console versions that were released last year, which were excellent. A lot of the big changes that came to Diablo 3 with Reaper of Souls this year on PC started with the console versions last year, like the loot system and the changes that they made to things, like were really tested on Xbox 360 and PS3. So
Part of me kind of wishes that I had waited to do that. Like, not that we would have any way of knowing that they were going to fix loot so dramatically.
Right.
But like, I spent so much time on the vanilla Diablo that like I didn't. I think by the time Loot 2.0 came out, I recognized how great it was, but I was a little bit burnt out at that point.
which is interesting. I mean, and so Reaper of Souls added the new character class, which you can see here, which is the Crusader.
Yeah.
And playing through most of a Crusader build on the PC version and then doing it again here on console, the Crusader actually really feels designed for a controller. Just the way that she attacks, the way that she moves, the kind of character that she is.
Just because there's a lot of cone based.
Yeah,
damage.
like she's a very melee heavy character,
Sure.
and even like the stuff she has that's ranged, which the shield blast, for example, which you'll see, it is very focused on hitting an object before it spreads things out like that. So
Yeah.
she works really well, and also the ranged characters work really well on
See,
Diablo
that would
3
be
console.
that would be my concern because I always play as a wizard, and
Right.
a lot of his attacks are done from very far away. And since the right stick is used to dodge and not to aim, which makes sense. Otherwise, it would be a twin stick shooter.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I would worry that like having to actually physically turn my body and move in the direction a little bit that I wanted to shoot would be. I don't know, would make things a lot more difficult than it is on WASD.
I mean, you can see what you're aiming at based on the little red silhouettes that appear, and it's actually not really hard to aim at specific things. Also, the thing I realized playing it on console before with a ranged character is that kiting and moving around the level is actually kind of easier with a controller than it is with a mouse, because you're not clicking points, you're directly moving your character. So it actually all works pretty well, and the game has also been rebalanced considerably with the number of things on the screen and the kind of stuff that you're fighting to better support what you'll be able to manage with the controller.
Is the screen zoomed in more, or am I just imagining?
I definitely think that the screen is zoomed in more, that your character is bigger on the console screen than it is on the PC. In part for some of those reasons that, it doesn't have as much stuff attacking you at once.
Well, and also it's harder to see shit when you're
Yes.
sitting super far away.
Exactly.
Which I imagine is why the text doesn't look fantasy-like at all.
Right.
Like, to a crazy extent. Like,
Serifs are hard, man. Like,
I'm not asking for, like, the T's to look like a sword. You know what I mean? But put a curly Q on.
you just want some curly tails, some lines through some
I
words.
want to flourish. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Right. It is a little underwhelming, the font. I've come around to your school font.
Thank you. I do really, really like what they've done with how they represent item comparisons.
Sure. Yeah.
With the arrow system, seems really intuitive.
Yeah,
and the
so
kind of thing I
you'll
can
see it anytime I get an item that when you get an item, it actually shows it on the left side, and if you can cycle through it with the up button on the D-pad on both PS4 and Xbox One, and you can actually equip stuff from there, and it gives you a quick view with green and red arrows to show you like the kinds of bonuses it's going to give you.
Yeah.
And you'll also notice that that's where the notifications for the game pop up here. And other things that they've added to the console version, whereas smashing things in Diablo 3 was previously just fun to do, now, for example, smashing 8 objects might give you a 50% speed bonus for a minute and a half.
Oh, sweet. So those combos have an actual mechanical
Yes,
boon.
they have. There's an actual bonus component to those things, which was not present in Diablo previously, and it's fun. And it sort of underlines a lot of what Diablo 3's basic goals seem to be to begin with, which is like to make a faster, more sort of kinetic, more aggressively fun to play game than previous games.
I also really like the equipment screen.
Right.
How it's now like a radial, and all of your equipment is automatically sorted into the different like armor types and item types, so you don't have to, do all that manually. You would think that, like, I don't know, I feel like for a lot of RPG developers, especially MMORPG developers, they have a really hard time with that sort of interface stuff using a controller.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually a really clever way to handle it.
And at first it seems sort of convoluted and a little overcomplicated, but it actually ends up working out pretty well. And here I get lost for a second, because it's not like I played this game 17,000 times. There's a lot of really smart decisions that they made for the console versions, to the point where I'm a little sad that I can't use a controller on PC, to be totally honest, because that's generally how I prefer to play games. And
well, that's sacrilege.
I know, right? And like, I wouldn't necessarily want to use a controller for something like Dota, but for Diablo, they've shown that a controller works repeatedly. Like, my first experience with Diablo was on PlayStation.
The 15 save block monster Diablo.
Yeah, where it's like it would be $70 if you actually wanted to play the game with a character.
This is my Diablo memory card.
Yes, exactly. Well,
you can't save Final Fantasy IX on this. It's for Diablo only.
Well, actually, Final Fantasy IX I can get behind. Final Fantasy VIII, screw that game. But Final Fantasy
okay,
IX.
this is a whole nother kettle of fish. No, I mean, it seems like I talked about the last time that we did an overview about Diablo, which was, last week?
Something, yeah. It feels like only yesterday.
About how I kind of wanted to wait until the PlayStation 4 version came out, and it kind of looks like that wasn't necessarily a bad idea.
No, I don't think that it is. I mean, first of all, like, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are getting like a full version of the game. Which is Diablo 3, which was updated even without Reaper of Souls to totally change loot for the better. And then you've also got the Reaper of Souls edition, and Blizzard has made arrangements with Microsoft and Sony to skip the usual sort of patch process that both companies have, to be able to update the next-gen console version of Ultimate Evil Edition almost on par with PC updates, which they've been really aggressive about.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, if you're looking to buy this on PS3 or 360, will not be the case. They won't be updating it the same way that they are the PS4 and Xbox One versions.
Well, I mean, if you're playing new releases on 360 and PlayStation 3 anyway, you should probably expect at this point that you're not going to get that first-class treatment.
Are you calling current-gen owners peasants?
I'm not calling them peasants. I'm just saying, like, they've gotten their fair share of bullshit.
Yeah.
Since the new babies came around.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is accurate. But they still get the game. Like, it's still really great. There's still a hell of a lot of content. The Reaper of Souls stuff adds a lot of stuff, and the PS4 and PS3 versions add some exclusive stuff. If you're like the hardcore Sony fan, there are Last of Us themed Nephilim riffs.
Oh, that's fun.
Which is interesting. I also think there's some Last Guardian gear.
There's a character class that's basically just Crash Bandicoot.
That'd be great. Then people could stop asking for the Crash Bandicoot reboot that we also desperately want.
People can stop asking for the Crash Bandicoot playable class in Diablo 3.
Yes, exactly.
It's like Blizzard can't get any work done.
Yeah.
They're like so busy fielding emails. I want to play Crash Bandicoot. I want to throw those weird little peach fruit things. I want to have a weird voodoo mask on.
You've really memorized the Crash Bandicoot au vieux, haven't you?
Not really, because I couldn't remember the names of any of that shit.
You fooled me.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition. It's a lot of fun. The thing that I think I talked to you about yesterday is that when I got this in the mail, and I got like 7 million copies of this thing in the mail, I was a little sort of worn out because I have reviewed Diablo in some capacity 3 times now.
Yeah.
In like feels like a month.
Yeah.
But once I started playing it, as it is my responsibility to do, I got way into it again, and I could actually see myself going through it a lot. And it adds things like local co-op to make for a sort of very cool, compelling local cooperative game.
Yeah.
And
I'm into that.
So yeah, so I definitely like if you haven't checked out Diablo but were curious, or if you have checked out Diablo but like it a bunch and like playing on consoles, it's definitely it's a really good version of the game. Like, it is easily comparable, and I would argue just as good as an option as the PC version.
Okay, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run out to my local FYE.
And get some Diablo.
I'm gonna run out to Suncoast real quick. I'm gonna pick this up.
Oh my god.
Bye,
Oh, so
bye everybody.
sad.
I got a date with a Suncoast.
Oh my god.